Let's see if I can do one more. Let's see. Quote, this is what I wrote. See, prior to today, I did not believe that I had confirmation to say that the changes to the licensing laws that happened in 2017 were unconstitutional in the same manner that the changes to law in 2018 specifically and especially in 2019 were. But I do now, based upon what I understand to be predicate acts, or rather demonstration of a process of abusing licensing laws in order to aid and abet other unconstitutional activities. In this case, licensing laws that went into effect in 2003, or rather, that were authorized in 2003 and were put into effect as part of changes to the laws of Texas in 2005. And I have that information now and have already reflected in the evidence the process that I would have for supports. Other evidence is not actually readily available, but could be procured were there to be an implementation of an appropriate process for subpoenaing evidence of that specific sort. Not only that, but in this review, there are a number of things that come up that are from the notes that I acquired today regarding a consideration of the relationship of contract of adhesion and a contract that is both procedurally unconscionable and substantively unconscionable, specifically as it intersects with public policy. And this is the essence of the allegations concerning my original effort. First, to say that I wish to attend the appeal on the order of protective custody that was allegedly issued on March 25th of 2017 and set to go to court on April 3rd of 2017. Then through grievances to both the Texas Medical Board and the State Bar Texas that were sent out on April 6, 2017. And then in my first efforts to contact the Supreme Court of Texas in a request for an in-bank review in accordance with its plenary powers on June 2nd of 2017, which was later appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in the form of a writ of habeas corpus, with a bill of exception attached in regards to consideration of charges under one specific context for evaluation within another context, with an understanding that what had been exposed was potentially evidentiary of greater crimes. Now, I was pausing in the editing of this at a little after 1 o'clock in the afternoon on July 11, 2021. Ergo, those notes were from July July 10th and 11th of 2021, which is what this says. Now, the situation here regarding the unconscionability has specific understandings associated with it, including a very important element of contract law, which is failure to disclose up front does not necessarily demonstrate bad faith. But if one asks a direct question and the person being asked is either evasive or gives a material misrepresentation, then that is evidence. Period. There is also considerations of the material relationship between the contractor and the contractee, including considerations of potential for abuse of the position of the one with the greater resources over the other, and the understanding that they may be in a position where they need to demonstrate a consideration of the needs to care for the person who is the one with whom they are contracting. These are all considerations that can, even if it should be demonstrated that somebody engaged in a contract understanding at the time it meant one thing, but then in the process of that contract being meted out, is exposed to efforts to try to compel them to do things that are unconscionable. And so efforts to try to entice somebody or extort somebody or to repeatedly attempt to visit reprisal upon somebody for not demonstrating a specific kind of performance, or in an effort to try to hold them to a means by which to alter consideration of what is acceptable performance in order to meet the contract terms based upon an express agreement that was not officially acknowledged up front as being part of the terms. Those are all potential manners in which the contract can be considered to be invalid, and that any sort of further performance of the contract would be considered null and or would be voided, and then there would potentially be other possibilities for considerations of restitution, including insofar as the contract was indeed to be revealed to have been fraudulently engaged in order to attempt to either get somebody to give something that they did not agree to at the onset, or to try to convince them to engage in crimes, including crimes that they would be exposed to and be under pressure to perform because the adherence to the terms of the contract denied them the possibility to provide for themselves. These are explicit understandings of how one evaluates whether or not a contract is legally binding. And then when you get into the considerations around the non-disclose, right? And confidentiality. You see, you cannot obligate someone to be confidential about the means by which you try to compel them to engage in crime.